Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to video number 3 in my storage series. Today I'm going to be going over my stamp storage and also my embossing powder storage. I'm going over these two items together because they're both kind of short. And then when I'm done with all my videos, there's going to be 4 total. I will give a full tour of the craft room. So I'm going to start with an overview of the craft room, which I've started with in each video. You can see my craft table to the left where I do all my work, and then behind me you can see my inks on the counter, and I'm going to go ahead and walk toward where I store my Stampin' Up! Stamps. I store them in the glass cabinet because Stampin' Up! Has some really nice looking stamp storage boxes, so I store them upright, and what's nice about them is that there's an image of all the stamps that are in the set on the side, so I can look at them at a glance really easily. You're probably noticing that I don't have that many. A lot of the ones that I had were retired, so I have a huge stack of ones that I've already pulled out. So anyway, I'm going to close this up, and now I'm going to start moving towards where I store the bulk of my stamps, so all the rest of my stamps. I'm going to come down here. I actually built this drawer specifically to store stamps. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. The first thing you'll probably notice is that I store all of my stamps in their original packaging. I just felt like it wasn't worth the time or the cost in repackaging all these stamps because the original packaging actually holds up pretty well if you take care of it. So you can see here's one of them in the original packaging. And what I do is I store them by brand, but not like alphabetical or anything. It's kind of random by brand, but all the same brand are together. I store them in these plastic shoe boxes that I got at Container Store. I'm going to pull one of these out so you get an up close look, but it's basically just a shoe box, and it was very inexpensive. I want to say it was around $1.75 or so. And so I bought a bunch of them, and it comes with a top, but I don't use the top. I'm able to fit 4 of these boxes. One of them is sideways, and those are the ones I don't use as much. But you can see I'm going to flip through here. I've got my Avery L, my Favorite Things, Paper Smooches, Altenew. And all my assignments at Stamp are in this middle one. I probably have the most of those because I like those a lot. I've got some Ellen Hudson behind those, and then some random ones, art impressions, and things like that. One thing I did separate out were my background stamps because a lot of times I'm looking for a background and I like to go through all the ones. So I have them stored by brand within background. So that's what this leftmost box is for. Now what I'm going to do is move around to the side here. I do have one more box in the back, and I store the stamps that I don't use as often, or the brands I don't use as often. I used to be a really heavy user of Hero Art stamps. Now I don't use them as much anymore, which is why they're in the back here. And then I also put them with my Penny Black, which I do like, but again, I just don't use them as much as my other ones. Since this is the main drawer behind me where I work, I utilized all the space, and I had just a little bit extra in the back here, so I put all of my background wood block stamps. I don't have much. I really don't buy these anymore, but I'm just not ready to throw them away. And I do have this random thing on the side here that I didn't have space for. So anyway, that is my stamp drawer. Now I'm going to move back to the bigger view so I can show you where my embossing powders are stored. Now this was the drawer with the stamps. This was the drawer with the paper that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to show you first where I store the embossing powders that I use all the time, like almost daily. So what I've done with those is I've put them right behind me in this glass case, and you know, it's not very pretty storage. They're just Tupperware containers, but it's so convenient that I just don't want to do anything nicer than that. The one in the middle there is kind of a one-off. It's got some glitter in it, but I have all the ones that I use most often labeled with a black Sharpie. So I guess I could pretty this up a little bit by putting some nice labels on it. And actually, I think I might do that before my official craft room tour. So what I'll do is I'll pull one of these out so you can see, and I'm sure you guys have seen me use this in pretty much every video. I do a lot of embossing, but I have it labeled on the side and also on the top. And so I can pull it off with one hand even, and I store the spoon inside, and that just, then there's no cleanup, and I can just sprinkle it over my container and then close it back up when I'm done. All right, I'm going to close that cabinet up. Those are the ones I use all the time. Now the ones I don't use as often I store in a drawer, the second drawer down here. I'm going to open this up. You can see I talked about my ink pad storage last week, and using this same ink pad tray, the 3-compartment tray, I store some of my extra or other embossing powders. I'm going to pull this out so you can get a closer look. you'll see that I have embossed the tops of these. So what I've done is I've punched a circle, and this one I think is a 1-inch punch, whatever fits in the top, and I embossed it with that embossing powder. So this is White Twinkle. Sorry, I'm getting a little too close up to the camera here. This is Black Twinkle. So I'm just showing you how the top matches what's in there. So it's really easy for me to figure out which one I need to pull out. I've also got some Stampin' Up! Ones and some distress ones. When I first started doing this, I tried to emboss the actual lid and it didn't work out so well. So that's when I started punching paper and embossing the paper and sticking it on. So anyway, that is how I store my other embossing powders. All right, so that concludes video number 3. I told you this was going to be short. I'm really not too fancy about some of these storage items. So anyway, I will see you for the next video. Thanks for watching.